Hi, everyone, and welcome to our session on Let's Go on an Adventure, a STEM adventure. I'm Chih-Ing, and I'm the co-director of the STEM Innovation for Inclusion in Early Education, otherwise known as STEMIE. I'm at the FPG Child Development Institute at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. And with me today is Wendy Sapp, our partner at Bridge Multimedia, and she will introduce herself shortly as well. So today we are going to be sharing with you a new app called My STEM Adventure that STEMIE, Bridge Multimedia, and FableVision have been working on in the past year. So before we get started, note that the contents of this presentation were developed by us for the 2022 OSAP conference. However, these contents do not necessarily represent the policy of the Department of Education, and you should not assume endorsement by the federal government. So let's get started. Children are curious and have a sense of wonder of the world around them. So they are already scientists to start with, and My STEM Adventure app is a born accessible app that will guide families, caregivers, and other adults in children's lives to engage in science, technology, engineering, and math, otherwise known as STEM activities with young children from birth to 5 years old. And on the left side on this slide, you see our guide Layla, who provides prompts in the app to adults and children to interact with and take pictures of objects in their surroundings to introduce them to STEM concepts. So the app provides step-by-step guidance for families or practitioners to lead young children with and without disabilities on adventures in their homes or neighborhoods to learn about STEM, resulting in a storybook about the child's adventure of what they've learned. So here are some of our key features. Accessibility is key when we are designing and developing our app. Some of the accessibility features include highlighting text as it's been read, keyboard control and navigation, braille transcription, and captioning. And we also currently have Spanish translation of the audio, text, and visuals. And we have interested partners who want to work with us to offer other language translations as well. There's also the option for the family to record their story versus having Layla's voice to read the stories. And currently there's 10 storylines. And I'm going to hand it over to Wendy now, who will walk you through some of these features.
Hi, my name is Wendy Sapp, and I'm with Bridge Multimedia, and we are an accessibility company. And we were really excited to partner with STEMIE on this so that we could create an app that would be engaging for children with or without disabilities. And if we can jump ahead a slide, please, Chih-Ing. The first thing that families encounter the very first time they enter this app is they get taken straight to the accessibility settings, because what we found is that families often don't realize that they can change the settings on an app. So the very first time they enter, they get taken to these settings and they get to choose what they need to change. It could be captions, sound, visuals, switch access, which I'll talk about in a minute, or as Chih-Ing mentioned, we have an option to play this game in English or Spanish. Now, if you click on the captions button, so Chih-Ing, if you'll move us forward, then you go into the sub-menu of the accessibility. So for captions, you can turn them on or off. You can change the color, you can change the size. If you click on the sound button, you can adjust the volume for the voice or the sound effects. And then a really nice feature we have is autoplay audio for adults. We have, as Chih-Ing mentioned, Layla, who guides you through this adventure, excited little child voice, just really engaging for the children. But we also have content for adults. And so we have Papa, Layla's Papa, who can read the content for adults. Some parents don't want that read to them, others do. And so we have the option to turn that on or off. We also have options for accessibility settings. So for kids who the background art is too distracting or too overwhelming, they can turn that off. And then finally, we have switch access. And this is for someone who uses a head or eye gaze tracking device. they can turn a dwell feature on so that they can access the game themselves. Once the settings are in place, then you come to the launch page. And that little gear icon in the top right corner will always take you back to the settings menu, and you can access that at any time. But here we have the choice to go exploring on a new adventure, or if you've already had some adventures, you can check out your storybooks. So let's say we click on Explore. We come to a menu with our 10 story options, and these are going to range from very basic ideas like I can make things happen, which is this cause and effect intro, or a really early compare and contrast with like big and small, one of the first concepts that kids get in that area, to much more complex things such as comparing and contrasting living and non-living things, or instead of just making things happen, making a snack and having to sequence out the steps needed in a process. Now let's say the child clicks on an adventure. As we move into the adventure, the parent gets some information, and it's going to say your child is going to learn. In this case, it's an example about learning the steps in the scientific method, which is in our Ramp It Up story, where the kids create their own hypothesis and test it. As the family goes through the adventure together, there's also a question mark icon in the bottom corner of many screens, and it will come up with tips for a family. So for instance, in this one where they're taking pictures of living things, it gives them a tip. Your kid's having trouble finding a living thing. Oh, a living thing is something that needs food or water to grow. That's a nice, simple example. This picture also shows how the word R is highlighted as the information is read along the captions by our wonderful character, Layla. It's highlighted, so it makes it easy to follow along if a child wants to follow the print. Moving on into the adventure, Layla models the skills for the kid. She shows them, for instance, in a patterning adventure, that you build up your pattern unit by unit, pencil, crayon, pen, pencil, crayon, pen. Or maybe they're outside and they're doing an ABB pattern with leaf, grass, grass, leaf, grass, grass, or pushing a car down a ramp to build a hypothesis. Now, the cool thing about this app is that kids aren't engaging on the app, they're engaging in the real world. So we tried to provide examples with Leela of things that are in kids' world that they can actually use to do things. So on the next slide, we have a picture of a child who is following the AB pattern. However, you'll notice that these are not the same things you saw in the picture the last time around, because being 2 years old, even though he was given the choice of using a cup and a spoon or a rock and a stick, he chose to use his favorite toy, his magnetiles, and he chose to build his pattern top to bottom instead of left to right. But that's what's really cool about this app, is that it gives the child and the family the chance to engage with these STEM activities in the real world, not just on the screen. So as the child goes through their adventure, they're documenting it. They're taking a picture of everything that happens, and then they're filling in with just 1 or 2 words what will become their storybook. So in this particular example, they were finding big things and small things. They've just taken a picture of a small object, and they can either use their device's keyboard or the voice input to fill in that blank. We found a small, whatever it might be, a nut, a rock, etc. Once that adventure is over, then it's time to go on to the storybook. When the family goes into the storybook, as Chih-Ing mentioned, the family can record the storybook so that the child can hear their parent reading it to them. The storybook comes up with a title, and it says written by, and the child will have filled their name. And then as they go through the storybook, they'll see the pictures they took and the words that they added. In this case, they found a quarter, and they filled in, we found a small coin. So these are the ways that it ties together all of those STEM concepts and then creates a story. And what we found in our testing is that kids with and without disabilities both, and their parents, are really enjoyed the way that all of those pieces were brought together, the way that the child was engaging in the world and not just on a screen, and the way that the kid was learning a range of concepts about science, technology, engineering, and math. Next slide, please. So if you would like to learn more information about this, You're welcome to reach out to Megan or Chih-Ing at University of North Carolina or to me at Bridge Multimedia, and we would love to tell you more about it. So thank you so much.